Good evening and a pleasant welcome to another conversation on the Rahim Show. And as you all know, I'm your host, Ricky Ali, and I'm being joined by a friend and brother Isaac KARTO. He visited the show once, and this is the second appearance, but we're going to come to that momentarily. But let me welcome our viewer on Facebook and YouTube. I want to say welcome to the Rahim Show. For some of you who are following the show via Facebook and YouTube, you might want to hit the like button, share the podcast, and make some comment. We highly appreciate you all for that. So I say, well, we just want to jump into what we are here for. So you've been on the show the last time, and you did a very good job. A lot of people admire what you share, and as part of our discussion tonight, when I did a flyer, initially I have to share the flyer on all my social media. I even share it on my TikTok, and people were able to send me some questions and say, "Oh yeah, some people from Liberia." Unfortunately, because of the time difference, so they could not really make it here tonight because right now in Liberia it's almost like in the morning hour.
Right.
So a lot of people said they can't make it, but they wrote some question, that, and because after the show is recorded, most of the time I also share the show on on this platform as well as all my other platforms. So they might watch the show and see some of the things, some of the question they ask, whether you address the question. So welcome to the show. This is your second appearance. So we just want to get into what we are here for. So I would just suggest you introduce yourself again. I know the last time a lot of people may have forgotten the show that we had where you introduce yourself, but just introduce yourself and a little background about you. So welcome, Asa. It's good to have you on the show.
Okay, well, Ricky, it is good to be back. I guess I must have done something right the first time to deserve to deserve a second invitation. So it is always good to be back with you and your audience. The last time I was slated for 45 minutes, but we ended up going twice as much.
Yeah,
because it was so engaging,
yeah,
and I guess so entertaining, if you will.
yeah.
So again, so I'm back again. My topic seems to be like a revolving topic, if you will. It's always about financial advice. I mean, not financial advice, but like financial education, financial literacy, pretty much anything that had to do with finance. The last time I was on, we got a lot of questions about investing, and I'm sure we'll probably get some of that tonight. And of course, while it is good to save, but it is even better to invest. And people had questions about crypto the last time. They were quite surprised that I'm a big cryptocurrency guy, because the guy talks about financial education and then he goes into crypto. Is that an oxymoron? Actually, it is not. So I'm just here to engage with your audience again, and let's do it.
Yeah. And it's always a pleasure to have you here. I mean, the last time myself, I was able to learn a lot from you. So before we dive into the specific, right? And some of the people, because most of the time when I do these flyers, like I said, I share these flyers, on different social media. So when we talk about financial literacy education, somebody asked me the question, right? He said, okay, before the brother get into the specific, can he really tell what financial, literacy education is all about? Because somebody might, want to know what actually it is, when you talk about financial literacy education.
Yeah, well, I mean, just in like general, it is just really about being aware of your finances, being knowledgeable about what your options are. I mean, you will be amazed in our community. people don't even know what the current interest rate is, and let alone we're not even going to talk to what about bonds and like treasury notes, and something as common as getting like a T-bill. Some folks within the community are even aware of that, and these are very smart people. They're just not aware of it. So that's where the financial education or financial awareness, if you will, come into place. Or the person go out there and get a car loan, and they're paying 13% interest rate, and they think they're like getting a bargain. And if you were to just take like 30 seconds and actually do the calculations and do the numbers, you'll see how much of that you are being ripped off with. And
Yeah.
as someone who invests, who's been in the investment business since 2008, talk about a perfect timing, right? I got right into the market right when the market was crashing. So, how is that for perfect timing? I mean, I got in like put some money in, and I lost 50% like the next 2 weeks. So my timing wasn't perfect, but I did learn something from it, and that was what the financial education is all about. Knowing pretty much Dave Ramsey, someone that I admire, said being the boss of your money, because once you get your money and you don't have a budget or you don't have a plan for it, next thing you can go, I mean, you get a paycheck and you're like, wow, it says I got a 3,000 or 4,000 this paycheck, but it's not even 2 days later and everything is gone. Where did it go? So things like that. So just being aware of your financial standing, being aware of your financial priorities, being aware of like what your limitations are, and also just being aware in general. You know, because we all don't plan on working until we are 100. Some of us might retire in our 30s, in our 40s, in our 50s. I mean, what do you do after that? When like the paycheck stops coming in, are you going to go to Walmart and become a greeter, or do you have a plan to spend the rest of your life cruising around the world, or maybe doing some charity at the hospital, or maybe going back to Liberia and working with disadvantaged and poor youth? That all goes into your financial planning now, and again, that all goes back to financial education. So that's why I really spend a lot of time on this topic, because it is really a matter of planning for your future, but also while making sure you take care of yourself today.
Yeah, that is so good. I mean, the way you point out. So, somebody had asked me a question, and saying that although you have different specific that you're going to but they are basically asking on the issue of investment, right? So they are saying, like you noted that a typical black man might save a lot of money in the bank, and in order to save that money, he's not really getting that much, from the money, because that money just saved, in his saving account. So he's asking, what is the difference between a saving and investing? Because more, when you look at, investing, you tend to, get a compound interest, when you invest, that money, instead of you just putting that money in the account. So he's asking, what would happen if he take that race to invest that huge amount of money he just saving, because most people, that's what they do. They just save a lot of money in the account, and that money could be used for investment purpose that could bring so that's what I want to ask. So what would you say, the difference between what the person is actually saving, versus if he was to invest that money?
Okay, well, absolutely, and I'm actually glad you said that. And there's actually something out there right now. It actually came out from the Wall Street Journal, and they went back to 1980, which is 45 years. And if a person had taken that $1,000 and put it into a savings account, let's assume it's a high yield savings account, and they're getting about 4 or 5%. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. I mean, for example, in like during like the decade of 2010 to 2009, the high yield interest savings account was only 2%. But during that same time, the market on average went up by 12.5%. So if you were to take down, like this study was done, if that person took that $1,000 and put it in the bank, 45 years later now, that person will only have 8,500. and that is for 45 years, 8,500. You take that same $1,000 and you put it in the S&P 500, and that is like the most common investing option out there. That 1,000 now, within that same 45 years, grew up to 33,000. So if you were to just leave it there and did absolutely nothing, your money grew what is that, 4 times more than just keeping it in a high yield savings account. Now let's imagine if you are really talking about some top dollars here. Let's say you went up to 10,000 or like 100,000. Had you gone up to 10,000, that person will be looking at about what now? About 80,000 or so. But that person who invested that $10,000 over the last 45 years is today a multimillionaire just from doing absolutely nothing at all. So this is where the compound interest works out for you. You cannot save your way to wealth. If you want to build wealth, you have to have some form of investment. Now, some people go the real estate route.
Yeah.
I used to be a real estate investor, but I prefer the stock market more simply because there's less work. I don't have to deal with bad tenants. I don't have to worry about plumbing leaks. I don't have to go out there and try to outbid another bidder. I don't have to do none of that. And I'm saying this as someone who has done both. I was a real estate investor back when I was in Houston, and then now, well, I've been in the market for the last 17 years, going back to 2008. So, just the compound interest, the opportunity to take advantage of compounding, you can grow your way to wealth through investing, whereas you cannot do that through savings. Or if you're going to do that through savings, you better live for a very, very long time, maybe until you're 150 years old. But that is why. And then let me just go back a little bit. The person asked, what is the risk of investing? Of course, there's a risk to investing. But here's a good stats, Ricky. You could take any 10-year period for the last 200 years. So now we're going back to like the 1800s.
We said 10 years is a long term or a short term.
10 years, 10 years could be considered short term. It all depends on what you're investing for and what your age is. If you're 65 years old, 10 years may not be that that long of time for you because of your life expectancy. Yeah. But if you're 30 years old, 10 years is a good amount of time. Yeah. But the reason I said take a 10 years time frame is people talking about investing is the risk. If you were to go back any 10-year time period, you have never lost money. And when people save, what they don't talk about is the inflation. Most people don't know that inflation from 2021 to 2000 and I think it was 24, inflation almost got up a high at 9.2%.
Yeah.
So, you keeping your money in there while your buying power is going down. $10,000 in 1980 is not $10,000 today. Yeah. So even though your nominal value may be the same, but that purchasing power has greatly decreased. And so when you just save and not invest, that is a risk that you're running into as well. And our folks then didn't have the opportunity to invest, especially those of us that came from like a third world country. We didn't have those options available before us, but now we do. So that's why it is incumbent upon us to take advantage of those. And again, you could just go out there. And another thing too, if I could just say this, is a lot of people think that it is hard to invest. Actually, it is not that case anymore. Back when I started, even to buy a stock, you have to actually pay the broker to buy it. Now, all brokers are pretty much commission free. It started with Robinhood, but now if you go with Fidelity, Vanguard, all those guys are like free now. So there's really no reason to not invest. And the only reason perhaps people don't invest, and this is what I believe, is they haven't been exposed or haven't taken the time or don't have the opportunity to get that financial education. And I hope what it is that we're doing tonight prove to be helpful to them.
Yeah. So somebody with a misunderstanding about investment, right? And he believes that because he's a low income person, he doesn't make that much money. So he asks this question, right? Because
Mhm.
there is a saying that say time is the market, time in the market rather is more important than timing of the market.
Mhm.
So he said, when should I invest? Knowing that I don't make that much, right?
Mhm.
When do I invest? So that's the question he's asking because he noted himself to not really make that much, like 650 person who make more money. He's in a low income gap. So how does the person, how do you encourage such a person to invest little? The fact that he's not making much.
Right. Well, and you're absolutely right about that. With that phrase, time in the market is better than time in the market.
Yeah,
And what that phrase means or implies is most people wait for the perfect time to get in the market.
yeah,
They're waiting for like the market to crash before they come in. Well, if you wait for the market to crash now for you to come in, versus someone who invests on a weekly basis. They call that dollar cost averaging.
yeah,
And that is whatever the amount you have, you put that into the market. And by the market, I'm talking about the S&P 500 because the S&P 500 includes the top 500 companies within the United States. And so you're pretty much betting on the United States. And then going back to my um, example earlier from like 10 years is you have never lost money given any 10-year period. You could choose from 14 to 24, from 1 to 11. You have never lost money betting in the five. I mean, in like the S&P 500 for like any 10 years time frame. But if you have money, even if you have low income, if you will, or you're not where you think you should invest, I'll say you invest whatever you can. The whole point of it is to start now. And like there's a saying, the best time to have invested I'm like the best time to have invested was 10 years ago. The next best time to invest is now.
no, yeah,
So right now. So you can go back 10 years ago and get in the market, but guess what? You could go ahead and start today. And now the beautiful thing about this now is back then you had to buy like 4 shares. You have to buy for like the $4 amount. But now they call you have what they call fractional shares. So you could go out there and buy for as low as $1. Or let's say, for example, somebody wants to go ahead and buy Microsoft. I think it is about $200 now, if I'm not mistaken, or Tesla, which
yeah,
is I think 350. So I'm like give and take there. Maybe you don't have 350, but you have $25. So start with that $25. And if you just starting and don't know where to like invest your money, my recommendation, which is just my opinion, would be to put that into the S&P 500 instead of buying individual stocks. And what happened is most newcomers into the market, they haven't done any research and they hear that neighbor tell them to go buy Tesla and they jump into it. Well, and then when they lose money for like a month or two, they leave and say, "Oh, this is a scam," not realizing you were not in long enough, and you just went and bought a stock you didn't know anything about. So, as a newbie, go ahead and get yourself an S&P 500 fund, and then as time goes by, as you gain knowledge, then you could start going ahead and putting it into individual stocks.
yeah,
But again, my recommendation would be to stop now. And you don't have to go in with everything you have. Go in gradually. Go in on like a weekly basis. If $50 is all you have to put in the market, then put $50 into the market. I put money into the market every single week, and and that has worked out well for me. It doesn't matter what the market is doing. If the market is up, if the market is down, I'm still putting money in because I'm dollars cost averaging. So in the long run, I'm going to be better off than someone who is waiting for the perfect time to get in the market. Again,
I'm
time in the
glad.
market.
I'm
Mhm.
glad that you made that caution about nine. Nine is a time because a lot of time people procrastinate, and sometimes that can lead to some uh, reason why they don't even get some of the benefit that come with investing. So let me let our viewer out there know that those who are watching the show via Facebook and YouTube, you are welcome. This is a Rahim Show. I'm being joined by a friend and brother of mine, who've been here before on the show. We are discussing financial literacy education. And as you all know, As you watch the show, please hit the like button, share the podcast, and also make comment. We highly appreciate you for that. So we're going to go to another question somebody have asked. They say, what are the best access to invest in? For instance, the person said that I have heard people saying, "Oh, invest in this, invest in that." Right? I know it is risk taking to invest in some of these things, right? But what is the best asset that you can recommend for somebody to invest in, where you know that they will use something from their investment?
Okay. Well, that's a good question, Ricky. And then again, this comes down to their personal financial status. That's why it is called personal finance, because it is really personal. I have time on my side. I'm not an old man. I consider myself to be relatively young, even though I'm not as young as I used to be. So I'm okay with going into the stock market. Again, like I said, we used to invest in real estate, and that works out well for some people. So it is really kind of hard to recommend an asset because everybody's situation is different. Maybe there's somebody out there who loves real estate,
Yeah.
who loves dealing with, going out there and bidding on properties, going out there and building properties, especially if you're an architect or like an engineer. Then real estate will work out for you. Or maybe you're someone that like to deal with rare metals, and then buying gold bars and diamonds and so forth. That may be your thing. But for my thing, and for what has made the most wealth, and for what has produced, because there's a common saying that most millionaires are made through real estate.
Real
That
estate.
that may be true, but as a matter of fact, a vast majority of billionaires are made in the stock market. So people say most millionaires are made through real estate, and then they stop there. That is only half true. Where are the most billionaires made? It is in the stock market. So again, people say investing in this in the stock market is taking risk, but let's reverse that question. Not investing is also taking risk. So by trying to be risk averse, you're trying to actually taking on a greater amount of risk than you would be had you just gone and get into a simple S&P 500.
Yeah.
So I would say from my status and based on what I know and what has created the most wealth and what has allowed people like us, retail investors, folks that don't have millionaires, don't have trust funds, stock market investing has worked out very well for me, and it has very worked out very well for the folks that I know. So that will always be my recommendation. And then again too, it is like stock market is so vast. Let's say, for example, you just want to be like a real estate guy, well then buy real estate stocks. They're called REITs, real estate investment trust, REIT. Go ahead and buy those. Guess what they invest in? They invest in Home Depots. They invest in apartment complexes. They invest in things like Walmart, in McDonald's, or in high rises. So if you want to stick to real estate, then go ahead and invest in a REIT. Or maybe you're not a risk taker. You're like, Isaac, I'm 65 years old and I don't want to put my money in the market. Well, guess what? There are some stocks that are called old man stocks. Like, for example, your Coca-Colas and all these stocks that are not going to go 100% in like 5 years, but they pay you very comfortable dividends that you could live on too. And that's the other thing there about the stock market, and that's the fact on a quarterly basis, depending on the stock you buy, or even on like a monthly basis, you get dividends from your stocks. And most people, especially those that have been, I'm like in this for like a very long time, live off a bit dividends very very comfortably. Now let's take the we were just talking about this. I'm like this earlier. Let's say you invested and you got up to $3 million, which sounds like a high amount, but it is not that much, especially if you've been in the game for like a long time. And you take your $3 million and you put it in a dividend stocks that pays you, say, 3% or whatever it is. Or let's say you go out there and you get like a high, one of those that pay you really high. But for my purpose, let's say you get for my purpose, let's say you take SHG, which is the Schwab, it's a Schwab high heel, Jesus Christ, dividend stock. Let's say you get that, and that pays you about 3.5%. Well, if you have $10 million into that, guess what? Your 3.5% that you're getting in stocks is paying you $350,000 a year for you doing absolutely nothing. Can
Yeah.
you live over $350,000 a year? I'm sure most people could do that. So again, and that is with your money growing principal with you not doing anything else but just sitting there and watch your stock grows.
So
So
the
that's the
risk,
benefit of going into stocks that pay dividends.
yeah. So the risk associated aspect component is what scares a lot of people because more people feel that when they invest in this particular stock or in the particular real estate, the probability or the likelihood of them losing their money. That's one of the things. Some people are already afraid when they have huge ton of money. They don't want to take that risk to invest the money. So we have the number on the screen for our viewer out there who are watching the show via Facebook and YouTube. I want to say welcome to the Rahim Show. I'm your host, Ricky Ali, and I'm being joined by my friend and brother, Ase, who is providing a lot of financial education here that you can learn from. Some of the options that he mentioned about investing your money. Don't just save your money somewhere. Put your money in some investment. And that's why he's here to teach us, including myself, and learning a lot. So there is a number on the screen. The number to call is 443-312-9435. Call that number and share your perspective or whatever question you have. Call that number so that we can answer your question. So ask him on the issue of the race, right? Somebody has asked me the question about this race issue, right? They said, what are the risks associated with this investment that our brother is going to talk about? Because, take for instance, I don't want to spend my money on something that at the end of the day, because sometimes, there is a probability. Sometimes you see that the market can go to a downward trend. And then sometimes you have like maybe, for instance, you have $3,000 in your account, right? And the money was growing. But then because the market went down, it also affect, whatever, you have. So the person want you to actually explain because they want to invest, but the risk aspect, the risk component is what scaring them. So what would be your advice for those who are afraid to take the risk?
Okay, no, certainly. And what if you have money that you're gonna need for the next let's say if you have money that you're gonna need for the next 3 years, my recommendation would be don't put it in the stock market
Okay.
because you don't know what's gonna happen in the next 3 years. For example, if you had gone in the market in 2019, you had no idea that a few months later, a pandemic was going to strike and shut down the world and the market went down like 30%.
Yeah.
The market went down 30% in like 60 days or so. It was a precipitous drop.
Yeah.
And if you were somebody who needed that money right away, then and there, I mean, it came back and it came back higher,
Yeah.
but it took time to come back. It took about 4 or 5 years to come back.
Yeah.
So if you have time on your side, or if you don't need that money right away, then go ahead and invest. But if it is money that you're going to need for like a down payment for something in like 6 months, in a year or so, then yeah, you could put it in like a high yield account or just leave it like in a bank. So that would be a way to avoid that. Don't try to gamble with it and say, I'm going to go and put it all on this stock and hoping this stock goes up 300% and I triple my money. But that could be that could happen. But guess what? That stock will also drop 50% and you could lose half your money. So if you don't have time, if you don't have say 5 years or higher to allow that money to compound, then yeah, go ahead and put it in something safer. Go ahead and put it in T-bills. Go ahead and put it in bonds. Well, not like even bonds. Just go ahead and just keep it like in your account because you don't want anything to happen to it. But if you have time on your side and you know that the market will eventually go up higher than what it is 5 or 6 years from now, then go ahead and do that. But if you're saving up for something that you need in the next 2 to 3 years, put that money somewhere else. That would be my recommendation because there's no need investing when you cannot sleep well at night. The whole point of investing is to allow you to sleep well at night. So if you're going to bed and constantly worried about losing this money, then no, don't invest that money. Put it in something safer, especially if you need it within like the next short time frame.
Yeah, that's true. For our viewer out there who are watching the show via Facebook and YouTube, I want to say welcome to the Rahim Show. As you all know, I'm your host, and I've been joined by KARTO, a financial expert who is giving out a lot of information about investing. So you might want to watch the show on Facebook and YouTube, and also make some comments, share the podcast. We highly appreciate you for that. So we're going to take a break, but somebody has asked a question here and saying, because it's an unpredictable question, right? And they are saying that, life situation can happen, right? Take for instance, I want to invest and I have taken the risk to invest, okay? I've invested for 10 years, but due to certain life situation, what happened if I want my money back? That is the question the person is asking. What will happen if, for instance, I invested the money, the term was 10 years. Now, because of some life situation that have happened within the 10 years, can I get my money back? That's what the person is asking. So I want you to answer that question, then we can take a little break. When we get back, then we can just wrap up our show.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you invest your money into stocks or some securities, you could take your money back anytime you want. Okay. It is not like
the proceeds can be transferred back, right?
Yes, yeah,
can be transferred from your investment, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can take your proceeds out. I mean, it like may take a day or two to get to your bank account, but if I wanted to go and sell some stocks tomorrow, yeah, I could sell those stocks, and that money becomes available right away. But now to get to my bank account, it may take a couple of days to leave the brokerage account to my bank account. But some brokerages have the option to where you could expedite that amount to your account right away, but you just have to pay a small fee for the convenience of getting it right away. But sure, I mean, you could have your money within 2 to 3 days. I mean, up to $1 million, depending on how much you have in there. So I'm so your money is not stuck. If you invest, especially in stocks, I mean, your money is not stuck, but you just have to be aware of capital gains. If you put a money in, say today, and you get it out or take it out within a year, and that money has grown, then you will have to pay short-term capital gains on that. And short-term capital gains are taxed at your bracket, at your tax bracket. But if it's been in for a year or longer, then you pay long-term capital gains, which is a lot lower than that, because the money that you're getting out is considered profit, and if it is profit, Uncle Sam wants his cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just have to be aware of that. But if you go out there and take out 500,000 today, and that is all in profit, that amount is taxable. And depending on how long you've had that, what if it's been a year or longer, then you just have to pay the taxes on it. But we all pay taxes on everything, so that's not a big surprise.
Great conversation tonight. We're going to take a break because of time. We want to make sure that we follow the time routine here. So we're going to take a break. When we get back, we'll resume our conversation. For our viewer out there who are watching the show via Facebook and YouTube, the number is on the screen. When we come back, call the number. The number is 443-312-9435. Just call and ask a question, or just send a message that somebody didn't send me a message, and I will ask the man. I will ask our guest when we return from our break. But we're going to take a break. I say when we get back, then we'll just go ahead with the time, because we're already going to the 3 minutes. We want to, let's follow the time routine here. So let's take a break. When we get back, and we'll, wrap up our show.
All right, sounds good.
Like a girl, roller coaster, people come around when they see your money, everything I like, tell them say your money fini, don't know who stay, don't know who let you, yeah. They love your girl, party, everybody we rap it when the fool finish, everything I like, tell them say your lick off fini, don't know who your friend, don't know who let you, yeah. And let me bestie on bestie, I prefer Hennessy. I love you now, I prefer my money. Let me drop you off, I prefer my walking. Fuck your BFing. Hey my boy, I am a tate at all and a rich man. Never knew my pocket maybe man. But if I single or not your concern, no to pitch you give me man 10. I try my love but she let money. And the money me offer. Somebody thought away now give me. See her body looking nice so. Baby, know you let it sweet pee opera. Some banana man and let it pee but so opera. So best you feel it papi family papi. My man here on for un tété. Baby, know you let it sweet pee.
So welcome back, folks. This is the Rahim Show. I'm your host, Ricky Ali, and we are talking about financial literacy education, and I'm being joined by KARTO, our special guest. He's trying to get himself back so we can go ahead with our discussion tonight. And the number that's on the screen, the number to call is 443-312-9435. Call that number and share your perspective on the topic. If you're having a question, and you don't want to call that number, please send me a message. Send me a message on my WhatsApp or maybe my Facebook Messenger, and I will ask that question, or just asking a question, and via the link, we'll look at some of the text messages and go through it. Some of the comment, we're going to look in the comment section and see some of the comment as well. So call in. The number is 443-312-9435 to share your perspective. So we are discussing financial education, and we are still waiting for our guests to come back. As you all know, we are only here for an hour, and we are discussing an important issue about investing, some specific issue about investing. So you want to utilize your money as you get older. You want to, you don't want to just live just with the same amount of money you have. That's why we have the financial advisor in our studio tonight to just provide our information regarding investment option and how you can utilize your money. Don't just put the money in the bank. So we are discussing tonight. I'm just waiting for him to get back as we proceed on some of our discussion. So we're still going to take a break. When we get back, we will resume our conversation.
People come around when they see your money, everything I like, tell them say your money fini, you know who stay, you know who are you, oh yeah. They love your tell your party, everybody we rap it when the fool finish, everything I like, tell them say your lick off fini, you know who your friend, you know who are you, oh yeah. And let me bestie on bestie, I prefer Hennessy. I love you now, I prefer my money. Let me drop you off, I prefer my walking. Fuck your BFing.
So folks, welcome back to the Rahim Show. I'm your host, Ricky Ali, and I'm being joined by KARTO. This evening, we are discussing financial literacy education. And Asset is here to provide you an option for investing your money and some financial education on how you can utilize some of the options he's going to provide. So Asset, welcome back. Welcome back. We want to just, wrap up our show because we don't have that much time. We usually come out here to just spend a little time to share something to our viewer out there so that they can be able to learn as they watch the show. So somebody asked a question.
Ricky, before we go forward, I have a few people, including my family members, saying like the link I sent to them is not bringing them to the show. Is there another link, perhaps?
Which link? You mean like the link to come live?
No, the link that you shared with me earlier today. Like the when you created the flyer, and I shared that with people. Yeah, they said they've been trying to access that link, and it is not coming on for them. Yeah, quite a few people just told me that as once we're on break.
I think one of them sent me a Facebook request. They are watching the show right now. So let's see. Let me see what I can get the link to send to you right now. But
yeah, if you just send me the link, whatever link it is that I guess the latest is I can share with you.
Okay, let me send it to you right now.
Okay.
But I think somebody D Lord KARTO, I know she said She watching the show right away. So let me send this to you, so you can be able to send it. It's just a
Yeah.
way to get to the Facebook page, and once you get to the Facebook page, you will start to watch the live video. So I just send that to you.
Okay. Yeah. Let me go ahead and share it right away.
Yeah, that's the Facebook link to watch the show.
Okay.
I'm sorry I didn't really copy the YouTube link as well. Uh, yeah, I just probably wasn't thinking about a YouTube link because the YouTube link is also a direct link to get to the video as well. But she can use the Facebook and watch the show. We are live. If you just go on the page, you watch the video live. So you
Okay.
already shared that.
Yeah, yeah. I just share with some few people that are in my contact because they're like, I said we're trying to get on and we can't get on. What's going on? So I'm like,
Yeah, I
okay, let
think I
me.
see somebody viewing. I see somebody viewing. Let me let our viewer out there know. This is the Rahim Show, and I'm your host Ricky Ali. I'm being joined by a friend and good brother, Isaac KARTO. He's a financial expert, and he has come here. This is the second visit to our show, and the last time he was here, he mentioned all of these things. A lot of people uh, took advantage and make some necessary investment for themselves, and they were able to benefit from the teaching. Today he's back with us, and we are talking about investing, how you can utilize some of the things that he's trying to provide on the platform here. So the number to call on the screen is 443 312 9435. Call that number and be a part of this discussion tonight. And you can be free to ask any question as you call that number. We can ask you question concerning this investment that he's talking about and some of the financial literacy, education he's providing for us. So I said, let's get back to where we are here because of time. We don't want to spend that much, of time here. So want to get back. Okay, another question somebody had asked me here is, they say, okay, is investment opportunity legitimate? That's what they're asking. Whether there is a legitimacy about investment opportunity, because
Oh yeah, I mean, oh yeah.
most of the reason why they were asking this question because I asked them, what do you mean by legitimacy? Be more precise. And it was saying that okay, a lot of people sometimes use this thing about Krato, and some of them become a scammer. They want for you to use certain. They will show you certain things that they can make your money to grow over time. So that's why they were kind of asking this question. They said because a lot of people have get into their DN asking this question about, oh yeah, I can, you give me 1,000, I can make 1,000 into 10,000 for you in 1 month time. So they were asking whether how possible can this thing be, whether it is legitimate. So go ahead.
Okay, well, that's a very good question, and the first advice or recommendation I'll give you is never take investment advice from a guy calling you through a WhatsApp group,
Yeah,
through a messenger group,
that's a good advice.
especially about a crypto group promising you quick wealth or like quick riches. The only thing that's going to go quick is your money.
Yeah,
Yeah, because most of those guys are scammers, and that's what they do. They are hustlers. They feast and feed on people that aren't financially up to date. So yeah, so definitely don't take any financial advice from any random person, even from me. Go ahead and do your research on it. But if somebody is promising you wealth overnight or some kind of get rich quick scheme, be very very careful with that. But as far as actual real investment go, like if you want to buy crypto, well, number one, make sure you do some research. And again, there are one or two cryptos that I buy, and there's one or two cryptos that I own. Number one is the biggest of them all, and the safest of them all, in my view, and that is Bitcoin. And number two is
so you
Ethereum.
said Bitcoin, right?
Yes, Bitcoin.
Okay.
Bitcoin is definitely the only crypto that I will buy if I were to buy one. But I also buy Ethereum as well, which is the second one that I own, and those are the one or two cryptos that I own. But there's a lot of them out there, but you just have to be very very careful because a lot of them, I mean, are just really scam or what they call pump and dump, and that is like a group of people go together and they push up a crypto price, and then once it gets high enough, they sell and run, and then like the whole thing drops on you. and then it leave you holding the bag once they've gotten that money out. So be very, very mindful of pump and dump schemes. But again, the only two cryptos that I even touch or even come close to are Bitcoin and Ethereum. But investment in of itself, especially if you go out there and get yourself stocks through Robinhood, through Fidelity, Vanguard, Charles Schwab, those are all legitimate brokers. I mean, just to name a few. And if you're buying companies like Apple and Microsoft and Costco and Home Depot, these are legitimate businesses that have been around for a very, very long time. So those are not scams, but be mindful of penny stocks, those that are out there promising you to make $1 million because of a $500 investment. You yourself know that is not realistic. So why would you even fall for something like that? So just be very careful with those.
Yeah, I say, I personally, right, I'm a little bit, skeptical about, investment. And most time I try to look for the possible, one that I, very legit. So, and it's kind of difficult because a lot of people, like you said, scam up in your DN every time. Like, I can do this, I can do that. So are you familiar with the Cash App, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm very familiar with Cash App.
The Cash App has a Bitcoin, right? That I purchased, right? And I believe that one is legit, because I don't think it's, so I purchased that and it is growing small. I seen the effect that is growing small. And they also have some stock, like you mentioned about, buying stock with Walmart, and they get Tesla, they get other things, you can buy stock. And it seems to be a little, pretty up and down because sometimes it's going into a downward trend. Sometimes you see it go up because that's the market, the market fluctuate. We don't, so like divert a little bit from investing, right? A lot of people today don't realize the importance of insurance because as we talk about financial, literacy, right? I guess insurance to play a vital role because somebody said having a life insurance also a form of investment because the insurance build a cash value, right? So I want you to educate most of our people who are watching because a lot of people, even our African, especially from Liberia, most of them don't want to have whole life insurance because they feel that it is not important because God has preserved them, so they don't see the need, because of our tradition in Liberia, we don't have life insurance, Let alone we just feel everything is fine. But in this country, it's important, that because you never know what a life situation can happen. You don't even know. And then secondly, you can even borrow from a life insurance, from what I know. So can you, tell a little bit about life insurance? What is it really, mean, and what is the importance of having a life insurance? Because a lot of people out there want to know the importance of having the whole life insurance.
Okay. Well, I'll just speak about it from like a general standpoint because I'm not an insurance salesperson, but I do have some knowledge on that. So let me speak to that. But most importantly, in Iraqi, you just touched on this, and that's the fact that we all need some form of insurance. And especially within our community, you talk about insurance and people think like you wishing death on them, when that is not the case at all. Insurance is exactly what it is. It is insurance. Hopefully you never need it. But if you ever need it, it is there for you. But especially in the case of life insurance, it's not necessarily for you. It is for the people that you're going to leave behind.
Yeah.
So if you have wives and children, especially young children, what are they going to do without you being around? Who's going to care for them? And as they grieve and as they do all of that. So if you think about it from that standpoint, life insurance is not necessary for you because if we pass, we're gone.
Yeah.
It is the people that we're leaving back. How are they going to be cared for? How is your mortgage going to get paid? How is your wife who is grieving, who hasn't gone to work in 2 months? How are they going to get by? These are the things that people should think about. And then in our community too, whenever something like this happens, we try to go raise funds so people could get buried and so forth. Well, if you had term life insurance or whole life insurance or any kind of life insurance, it will take care of those things for you. And then you leave back your family and you're leaving them in like a great position to be in. I personally don't have whole life insurance. I have term life insurance. I bought that a few years back for like the next 30 years. and I bought mine. I believe it was at $1 million for like a relatively low amount. Because at that time when I bought it 10 years ago, I was a lot younger than I am now. So, of course, like the younger you are, I mean, like the lower you pay. But it is just something to have. It is something that is valuable. And again, it is something that you do for your loved ones. Why our community is afraid of this? And again, this goes back to like the beginning of our conversation, and that is knowledge or being financially aware of these things. Because again, you talk about it and you go and you want to talk to your mom, or you want to talk to your dad, or you want to talk to some elderly person about life insurance, and they're thinking, oh, this person probably trying to kill me, or this person's probably trying to harm me. Why are they talking about this? Not knowing, hey, I'm just trying to make sure that if something were to ever happen to you, my friend, that you get a dignified burial and not have your family going around trying to collect a few pennies just to go ahead, to try to take care of some expenses. But especially if you have a family, I think, in my opinion, it is a no-brainer to have some form of life insurance.
Yeah, yeah. Someone has said that what is the 4 golden rules of investing? They give a little, idea on the 4 golden rule, but they want to hear your input. That says starting early, investing regularly, thinking long term, and diversifying. Right. So, what would you say is your tip on those 4 golden rules?
Okay. Well, I definitely agree with the first one, and that is starting early. If you remember earlier into our conversation, I said the best time to have started investing was 10 years ago. But the second best time is now.
Yeah,
exactly. So the quicker you get started, because most of investing is about compounding interest. You want that interest to build up for you. You want your money to make money for you. Yeah. And Warren Buffett, I think he's like the 5th richest guy right now, worth over $160 billion. Yeah. I mean, he says, unless your money starts to make money for you, you will never be financially free. So in other words, if you have to depend on your paycheck that is coming in, then what's going to happen the day you're not available or you can't go to work anymore, and like that paycheck stops? Then what? That's where your money, you having your money make money for you. So that's why it is important to like start early. And I think you said the second one was what again?
Let me go to the question here.
Right. It was start early. And then you also mentioned about the diversification.
Yeah, diversification.
Yeah, the diversification. Yeah. And I believe that was And I am a big fan of I would say I am not a big fan of diversification. And here's the reason why. I mentioned the S&P 500 earlier. And if you get the S&P 500 just from one fund, you are getting 500 companies. So if you want diversification, just that one fund gives you access to 500 different companies. And these are the top 500 companies in the United States outside of banks. So you are automatically diversified. What I'm not going to do, or what I don't do, and this is just my speaking personally, if you want to build wealth, and especially if you're in the accumulation phase or the build up phase, too much diversification lowers your returns. In other words, it lowers what you're getting back into because it is so spread across a vast majority. Absolutely. So if one stock goes up, say 13% or 10% in a day, but you have 20 other stocks or 50 other stocks that don't go anywhere, you don't see that 10%. You might see a percentage or two. Whereas if you were to concentrate, and this is a difference between diversification and concentration. If you were to concentrate that, especially into like 10 or maybe 15 stocks, your wealth will grow a lot quicker depending on the stocks that you are choosing. So that is why I'm not a big fan of diversification. As a matter of fact, some of the best investors in the world aren't a fan of diversification. If you don't know what you're doing, diversification is good for you. But if you know what you're doing, there's not that much value added in diversifying. And I'll give you a perfect example. If you had a choice to build a team of Michael Jordans and LeBron James and Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal and pick another guy, would you rather have those five guys or go pick 300 high school players?
I would rather pick the 300 high school player.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that. I mean, like, so, like in this case,
Yeah,
if you know what you have in hand
yeah,
and you know what it's going to produce, you don't have to go around and mess with other things.
yeah,
When here, you could like, or like, I mean, like, or like, just say for like an example, if you have a tree or if you have a chicken, yeah, let's just use that example. Let's say you have a chicken that could lay 300 eggs in one day,
yeah,
and then you have 40 other chickens that only lay 20 eggs in 20 days. Why would I want 40 other chickens
yeah. That's
when
true.
I have one chicken
Yeah,
that can give me 300 a day?
300, yeah,
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 exactly. So instead of spending all my time trying to feed these 300, I mean, or I feed these 40s, I'm going to feed the one that is bringing me the most return.
yeah.
And that's the
Absolutely,
same as investment. Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
exactly.
So
So
if you are out there,
in other words, go with the best. And once you
yeah,
identify the best, feed the best.
yeah, that's true. And I like the point in the scenario you just gave. To our viewers out there who are watching the show via Facebook and YouTube, I want to say welcome to the Rahim Show. I'm your host, Ricky Ali, and I've been joined by Ase KARTO, who is providing financial literacy education for us to learn something and spend our money in the proper way that will bring up more money. Because the fact of what we are, the whole idea of having a discussion is to help people spend the money in something that will build then a wealth for them in the long term, right? So what is the importance of thinking long term versus short term?
Oh, you definitely have to be a long-term thinker, without a doubt. You have to be like a long-term thinker, especially like in the market or even in life. You have to appreciate delay gratification, because unless you're lucky or unless you go out there and win a lottery,
How do you say that word, delayed gratification?
delay gratification.
Okay.
In other words, allow things to mature.
Okay.
Because what are the odds of you winning the lottery? Because if you could spend your entire paycheck on the lottery for the next 20 years, hoping to get rich quick. And what are your odds of that, of you being successful that way? Whereas you could go ahead and put in like the S&P 500 and allow that long-term asset to or allow that long-term thinking to come into play. So it is great to have a long-term mind, because you're actually planning things, you actually come up with a strategy and then following them through. But whereas if you're thinking short-term and things don't work out the way you want, and then you give up and then run to the next thing. Well, if that next thing don't work out, and then you give up again. But if you're a long-term thinker, if you're someone who plans what it is that they're going to do or what it is that they're working on, you'll definitely be better off. So yes, it is always better to go for the long term, because that's where the most is. And again, it is just a matter of delay gratification, and it has always worked out well, and you'll be you'll be better off for it than trying to get rich quick. And if you're trying to get rich quick, you just open yourself up to scammers to scam you. Yeah. And you on mute, Ricky. I'm not hearing you.
Oh, my apology. My apology. I was on mute. I said I wish we had more time to dive into most of what you want to provide, but our time is fast spent. We almost 1 minute to an hour here, so we want to be time conscious about our podcast. But a lot of people who follow you and I think Amos Mokro. He's a friend of you. He always talk a lot of things about. He has raised while you were talking about life insurance, he was saying, yes, it is, it's imperative that everybody get a whole life insurance. Very important, for people out there, because you don't want, it's not just about you. It's about what you're going to leave behind. Because if you don't have life insurance, take for instance, if you're heavily into debt, you don't even know that even by having a whole life insurance, something where they're happy, that money can even cover up some of the debt and even leave something behind for your kids, especially people who have kids. So it's very important. So I say I want us to wrap up the show. So I know we usually don't have that much time, but in the long run, we're gonna give it ample time so that we can talk more about this financial literacy education, because a lot of people out there want to know how they can invest their money. I, for one, to be honest, when I was when I came new there, I never had any means of like any idea about what investment option to really utilize. So most of the time when I get my money, I just chunk it in the bank account, and then you will not even believe that the bank will give you 0.001%. Even if you get like 3, 4, 5,000 dollars in that money, you notice that you only get like 3,001 $1 just for that 3,000. But knowing that if you invested that money in other things, you will have gotten, even if that $35 or something like 4% interest, you're getting 35 or $40. At least you're getting something then for you to put the money somewhere where you get 1%. So we want to wrap up our show. So we want to hear, your parting statement for young people out there, especially people who ask the question. I know, why is it important to utilize? And as you said, now is the time, because you say back then, if you had a chance, you would, do it by then. But since it never happened by then, why is it important now to do investment? Why is it important to get into investment now? Like most of our people who are watching, so they can be able to take advantage of some of these things. Because a lot of people, I tell you, people have physical cash on them, but they don't know how to put this money, into something that will, build them well, in the long run. So what would you say to people who are watching about making a decision now?
Okay. Well, thanks again, Rocky. It's always good coming on your show, and always good interacting and speaking with your audience. And something you just touched on, and that is the most important asset we have on this earth is not money.
Yeah.
It's actually time.
Yeah.
Right. And if you think about it, you could always make more money, but you could never make more time.
That's true.
If you ask somebody who is 60 or 70 years old, that is a multi-billionaire, they will give away half that money if they could go back to their 30s and their 40s.
Yeah.
Because when they have, our time on this earth is limited. So take advantage of time. And especially if you're young, start early, because the quicker you start, the better off you will be. If you were to start at 20 versus somebody who starts at 50, guess what? You already had a 30-year head start on them. That person will never catch up with you. It doesn't matter how long they live, or they have to live to like they're 150 years old just to make up for that 30 years gap, because compound interest over that time. So definitely go ahead and get started early. And if you don't know where to start, I mean, the quickest and simplest way now, you mentioned Cash App earlier.
Yeah.
I think most people have Cash App. Guess what? Cash App, I mean, that platform is for people that are just getting started and don't know where to go. But guess what? It is a platform that gives you at least the ability to start. Go out there and buy the VOO. That's the Vanguard 500 stocks we just talked about. Go ahead and buy that.
Do they have the VOO on the Cash App as well?
Cash, yes.
Okay, I'll check.
Yes. VOO on the Cash App. Or if you want to buy something solid, go ahead and buy Microsoft. Microsoft is not going anywhere. Go ahead and buy Facebook. That is Meta, META. At least buy these companies that have proven themselves to be profitable and have like stood the test of time. Even Google, Apple, buy things buy things at least with those you're not going to lose your money right off the bat. They're going to grow slowly and gradually until you do research. And then once you do your research, then you could get in things that people might consider high risk, like Tesla, Palantirs. Those are the kind of stuff that I own, but I have done the research on them and I know what my risk tolerance is. If your risk tolerance rate is very low, then certainly you may not want to go into Palantir, because it could drop 50% tomorrow. And then you say, oh, wow, they just scammed me my money. But a guy like me knows what Palantir offers in the long run. So I don't care if it dropped 50% tomorrow. To me, I would just see that as a 50% discount. That's because I know what is going to happen to it, and I have a fair level of confidence in that. But you have Cash App, and then if you want to take a step up, above Cash App, go to Robinhood. That's a very easy platform to use as well. And then once you get some real big money, and then you want to start playing in the big leagues, go with your Vanguard, your Fidelity, your Joshua, your Interactive Brokers. There's so many out there now. Like a few years ago when I got started in, your options were limited. It was pretty much like the big boys, and they all charge you to buy stock. So you pay to buy it and you pay to sell it. Nowadays, it is all commission free. So you don't even have to worry about that anymore. And again, Rocky, like you were saying, the most important thing is to go ahead and get started, because time is our most valuable asset.
Yeah. And I like that, because procrastination is a thief of time. So the longer you wait, the most likely you will not be able to, build, a wealth for you and your family. So I want to say it's always a pleasure having you here. We had a great discussion. I know the same thing about time affected you and I. We couldn't go much longer. So we all have, a work activity to do, and we want to just, save some time so we can sleep and get ready for work tomorrow. But it's a pleasure having you here all the time. This is your second appearance, and you deliver a lot every time you come here. It's amazing. Myself, I learned a lot from you, and I think our viewer out there also did learn a lot from our show. So I want to say thanks you for want to say thank you actually for taking your time to be part of our show always, and accepting our invitation whenever it is necessary to come and share something to our viewer out there. And to our viewer out there, I want to say thank you for stopping by to watch the show. I hope you learned something. Please share the podcast, make some comment, and also we highly appreciate you for that. And we want to just wrap up our show. Until then, I say thank you for coming to the Rahim Show, and thank you also for sharing what you share. We appreciate you for that.
Okay, sure, my friend. Anytime.
Yeah. Good night to everybody there. Thank you so much, Ase.
All right. Take care.
Those I want me to see up in our feet. The all of you crossing your way. The whole of you for me. Yeah, where's